While the United States President Donald Trump confronted the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa over allegations of white genocide in South Africa. Now, despite the claims being widely debunked, in a meeting aimed at resetting strained ties between the two countries took a contentious turn when President Trump played a video featuring white crosses, which he claimed represented graves of white South Africans, and opposition leaders making inflammatory speeches. The encounter began on a friendly note with discussions about golf and trade, but quickly turned sour as Trump presented his evidence, including printed news articles about white South Africans who had been killed. Ramaphosa remained poised, denying the allegations and stating that crime in South Africa affects all communities, with the majority of victims being black. Meanwhile, in Africa, unverified posts on X have sparked alarms with claims of a possible coup attempt in Ivory Coast, alleging significant violence, internet disruptions, and the potential fleeing of President Alassane Ouattara. All these and more we will dissect and dissect in today's Flash News. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. While South Africa's ongoing land reform policies and high crime rate has sparked concerns about the safety and rights of white farmers and the broader white population. Now, some individuals and groups claim that the white people, particularly farmers, are facing targeted violence and persecution. The South African government has proposed land expropriation without compensation as part of its efforts to address historical injustices and redistribute land to previously disadvantaged people and disadvantaged groups. Now, this policy has been met with both support and, of course, criticism. There have been reports of attacks and murders targeting white farmers, while some attributes to racial tensions and others attributes to crime and socio-economic factors. According to some statistics, white farmers are disproportionately affected by farm attacks and murders. The issue of land reform and racial tensions in South Africa is obviously complex, with different perspectives on the best way forward. Some argue that the government's policies are necessary to address historical injustices, while others contend that they could have unintended consequences, such as economic instability. Now, the situation in South Africa has drawn international attention, with some countries and organizations expressing concerns about human rights and the rule of law. Although South African leaders and some government leaders claim that there is no killing of white or any other clamoring for it. But then there is a video and President Trump thinks otherwise. Well, let's take a look.
Hirwata, Tamarumo, Hasicha. Where were you when I'm sick? Where were you when I'm there? So far, skitchy. So far, skitchy. Etatin, Kichima. Simran Konto, Alliance. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brrr,
As you can hear from that video, even if it's in dialect, we'll see according to reports that President Trump brought this video to light and thinks otherwise about the claims of South Africa not being racial to the whites.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So what we are going to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament. Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot, kill, Namaza, kill the poor, the farmer.
kill him! Hirwata, shoot to kill!
Kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, 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 pa. To kill the master, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer.
The man of DAPE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashama and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill Namaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, pa, pa.
Well, as you just saw, President Trump indeed brought a TV into the Oval Office in front of the South African president and showed him that video of his own government calling for the genocide of white farmers. This meeting between the United States President Donald Trump and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa took an unexpected turn when Trump played that video in the Oval Office alleging white genocide in South African dialect. Now, the video featured inflammatory statements from Julius Malema, a South African opposition politician, and footage of white crosses marking graves. While Trump claimed thousands of white farmers were being executed and having their lands seized, terming it a genocide, Ramaphosa calmly refuted the claim, stating that people of all races are victims of crime in South Africa and that land seizures are not government policies. But the question is, what do we now make of such a video as an evidence? Well, when Trump asked Ramaphosa to explain the situation, Ramaphosa replied that he'd like to know where the footage was from, and he has never seen it before. But the video is out there, so what do we make of it? Well, Ramaphosa attempted to diffuse the tension, suggesting a private discussion to address concerns and joking, saying, "I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you." He reaffirmed South Africa's willingness to engage with the United States, particularly on issues like trade and critical minerals. Ramaphosa's visit aimed to reset relations between the two countries, which have been strained in recent times. Now, the meeting comes amid tensions between the United States and South Africa. With the United States having cancelled aid and expelled South Africa's ambassador, Ramaphosa's visit may help mend relations. But some worry that it could spiral out of control like Trump's meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The controversy surrounding white farmers in South Africa has drawn international attention, with 59 white South Africans recently granted refugee status in the United States. While still on the United States relations, the State Department of Defense has accepted a Boeing 747-8 jet from Qatar, valued at approximately $400 million, which you can see in the joke that President Cyril Ramaphosa made to the United States president. And they did that for potential use as Air Force One, speaking controversy and criticism from lawmakers and Trump supporters alike. Now, Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell confirmed the acceptance, stating it was done in accordance with federal rules and regulations. The gift has raised eyebrows regarding the United States Constitution's emolument clause, which prohibits federal officials from accepting gifts from foreign states without congressional approval. Well, critics argue that accepting this gift could compromise the nation's security and create unacceptable vulnerabilities. Senator Rand Paul expressed concerns that the deal might cloud the United States' judgment on Qatar's human rights record. But then the question is, who are they to know the answer? While the plane will require significant modifications to meet the specialized requirement of Air Force One, including secure communications, nuclear blast protection, and aerial refueling capability. Estimates suggest the modification cost could reach over $1 billion and take several years to complete. Air Force Secretary Troy Mink assured that the Air Force will ensure the jet meets all necessary security measures and functional mission requirements. Well, President Trump has defended the gift, stating it would be stupid to turn down the plane. However, critics, including some Republican senators like Ted Cruz, have questioned the deal's legality and potential security risk. There are also concerns about Trump's plan to transfer the aircraft to his presidential library after it's no longer in use. The current Air Force One fleet is aging and overdue for replacement. Boeing is already contracted to supply two 747-8s as Air Force One replacements, but the project is delayed. With delivery expected in 2029, the Qatari plane's acceptance has sparked debate about the implication for the United States national security and the potential risk of relying on a gifted aircraft. Well, we see the unconfirmed reports of coup attempts in Ivory Coast. Unverified posts on X have sparked alarms with claims of a possible coup attempt in Ivory Coast, alleging significant violence, internet disruptions, and the potential fleeing of President Alassane Ouattara. These posts, circulating since 20th May 2025, report over 33 deaths between 19th and 20th of May, a media blackout, and widespread unrest that could escalate into civil war. However, no major news outlets, including Reuters, BBC, or even France 24, have corroborated these claims as of May 21st, 2025. And the situation remains unconfirmed. The lack of verification from established sources or discussion. This is because Ivory Coast has a history of political volatility, with post-election violence in 2010 and 2011 claiming around 3,000 lives, but the country has enjoyed relative stability in recent years, bolstered by strong economic growth and its status as the world's top cocoa producer. The current claims of a coup and the president's disappearance, some posts even suggested he may be dead or detained, but have not been substantiated by official statements or credible reports. Internet outages and a media blackout mentioned on X could indicate disruptions, but without confirmation, these remain speculative. Meanwhile, verified developments in Ivory Coast point to heightened political activity ahead of the October 2025 presidential election. On 14th of May 2025, Tidjane Thiam, former CEO of Credit Suisse, was re-elected as leader of the Democratic Party of Ivory Coast, PDCI, the main opposition party. Now, Thiam, a prominent figure with ties to Ivory Coast founding President Félix Houphouët-Boigny, resigned temporarily to address legal challenges over his dual French-Ivorian citizenship, which had previously led to his removal from the electoral roll in April 2025. Now, while all of this is happening, President Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire on Wednesday presided over a Council of Ministers meeting at the Presidential Palace in Abidjan, the Ivorian capital. The Ivorian presidency confirmed Ouattara's attendance in a statement it issued, including pictures showing the president and cabinet members at the meeting. Now, we wonder why false rumors of a military coup spread rapidly across social media platforms in Ivory Coast, also known as Côte d'Ivoire, whilst the government meeting was still taking place. Well, that is a question on many minds. But for now, we've come to the end of today's flash news. And with that, we call a cutting close. Thank you for joining in. I remain Star Smart.